Clap if you care. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of Clap If You Care. Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be back with my fellow co-stars Kaylani Smile and Brooke Brockman. Say hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi to the audience. They're watching. They're listening.
Right.
Today's episode is really special. It's very important to us, and it's something that we've all kind of talked about in our own personal daily lives, and we think that it's kind of important to share with you guys too. So, the topic of discussion today is kind of surrounding why the humanities matter. Why the humanities matter? Why right now? Why should we care? And we're gonna give you guys a couple reasons on why you should care. But before I dive into this, though, I will frame this episode really quickly because we're English majors and we're nerds, and so of course, I have to have sources. So I based a lot of these talking points on two articles that I think hold hands but have different approaches to defining the meaning of humanities. The first is from the Hall Center at Kansas University, and the second is a Medium article written by Harry Reedhead, who's a writing consultant with a degree in Joint Honors French and Hispanic Studies. So we have one article that is a little more vocational based, that is a little more, I guess, from a scope, a broader view, and then we have something a lot more personal. But before I get into talking about all this, my first question for you guys, and I think it might resonate with some listeners too, is how many of you guys have been asked, what will you do with that degree? And how did you respond? I must know.
Brooke, do you want to go first?
Yes. When I always say like, "Oh, I'm doing an English degree," I'm always assumed to be a teacher. And sometimes I let it go depending on my audience. Like if it's hometown, I usually let it go, being like, "Yeah, sure." But like when I meet someone new, I'm always like, "Actually, I want to be a book editor or something."
Yeah.
In that sense, because I love reading and I love editing stuff.
Yeah. Does the question ever annoy you? Do you feel like when people ask?
Like when they assume I'm gonna be a teacher, usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Hey, shout out to teachers though.
Hey, shout out
I was
to
like,
teachers,
Shout out
though,
to
for
hey.
real.
teachers though, because
PSA.
PSA, we love teachers.
PSA, I love my mom and dad who were
Sigma
teachers.
Tau Delta loves teachers,
Yeah.
okay? We can't handle it, y'all can. Matter respect.
No, for real.
So, like, literally.
Yeah.
I would have kicked a child at this point, so.
What about you, Kaylani? What you feel? What you got on this question?
Um, right. Let me just let that sink in for a moment. No, I think I get more annoyed mostly when people ask me because I was actually having this conversation with a group of people that I had met during winter break, so it was like a couple adults
yeah.
and then like
Mhm.
me with a bunch of other like college students. And like two of them were in nursing, so it was like kind of obvious what they were gonna do. And
yeah.
then like the other was in business.
Okay.
And from what I can remember when I mentioned that I was doing English and history, like I was the only one who got questioned what were you going to do with your degree?
And no one else.
Yeah, and
was
no one
at
else.
that.
And I was like,
Hmm.
okay. But
Yeah.
you know, like I answered anyways, and I was like a little bit uncomfortable because like why don't you ask anybody else? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
I think there's like definitely this like an underlying assumption that someone who is majoring in something that's not the humanities, like they've got it figured out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, like, I think in like real talk, for real, I think like everyone being in college, like no one knows exactly
Yeah.
what's going to happen after this, which is really funny too, because like like you said, you could definitely ask like a business major or a marketing major or a communications major, what are you doing with this afterwards?
right.
And I can probably tell you that there's a good chunk of people who probably would still say, I don't know. And that's
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
I think
No, for sure.
communication gets as much slack as we do. Like, what are you
Right.
gonna do with that
Mhm.
career? We all communicate.
Like, yeah, exactly, exactly. So it's really funny because I think like all of us are kind of in the same boat, but don't
Mhm.
really realize it. I think humanities kind of gets the brunt of
Right.
it though. But I guess that leads us into like what the humanities actually encompass. It'd probably be good to let that foundation down.
Mhm.
The Hall Center describes the humanities broadly encompassing history, literature, philosophy, religious studies, and intersectional, interdisciplinary fields,
Mhm.
such as like indigenous studies or gender studies. Those are definitely when things get like a lot more boiled down in our fields. But Reedhead focuses on defining the humanities through a more liberal arts experience. So, delving into drama, music, art, literature, history, all of these things as a way to understand human nature and moral complexity.
Mhm.
So, there's so much going on under the umbrella of the humanities, but how do y'all find yourself defining the humanities? And do you think those definitions matter when you're advocating for them or when we're advocating for the humanities?
Brooke, do you want to go?
Sure.
Okay.
I define it like pretty much like history, pretty much like how Hall
Mhm.
Center does it. Like it shows the human experience or like what truly happened, like with history and philosophy and stuff like that. It's like it makes us who we are.
Yeah.
And I do think these definitions matter because much like we've talked earlier before filming, how the definition for liberal arts matters and how it's getting screwed by media just being like, oh, liberal arts gave me pronouns or gave me blue hair,
Yeah.
just being like they focus on the liberal, not the whole combination of liberal arts and its whole history behind that. So
Yeah.
yes, it does matter.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what you guys both said, I just put down like a list of all of the like academic fields that go under humanities.
Hey, give me that list. What do you have?
I just put like English slash literature, history, religion, philosophy, and art. Um, which we could probably adjust that a little
Right,
bit,
no,
but
yeah.
whatever. And then I kind of just said like it's a academic field that like pushes students to have like more of a well-rounded understanding of culture. Obviously like strengthening critical thinking skills is a big part of the humanities. And like reflecting on questions like that are specific to the human existence.
Yeah.
And I think being able to define the humanities is important just because, I mean, like both of you guys said, I think it's kind of lost as to why
Yeah.
we even have the humanities or why they
Yeah.
might be important. Um, so yeah, I think by giving definitions, it kind of brings people back to the base of like why we learn these things.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think like yeah, both of you touched on how how like the definition of this has gotten kind of misconstrued or thrown around in different ways, and I think that like that's why definitions are so important because I do think that like you could probably ask someone who isn't involved or studying the humanities, just any average Joe, and you could probably ask them like, "Hey, do you know what the humanities are?"
Right.
And I don't think they can tell you. And I think that's why
Mhm.
definitions matter because
Yeah.
like if there are people like us who obviously are so involved with this
Right.
and so many other students who are too, and if they can articulately define and talk about it with people, then it opens up the humanities to the world, and that's
Yeah.
actually kind of the point. Like we want that.
Yeah.
So we want people to like know what it is
Yeah.
and realize how it makes an appearance in their daily lives.
Yeah, I actually to add on to that, I oddly enough had a lot of conversations this winter about my degree, and I was at dinner with my cousin, and she was asking me like why I even learn anything in the humanities or like why I'm majoring in English or
Okay.
history,
Mm.
and I was just telling her like it gives me a better understanding of people and how to interact with people, not just appropriately but like on an empathetic level.
Yeah.
And like there are a lot of other important ways of, why we are in the humanities, but for me it's really, really, really important to like my own identity and how
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, just interacting with people on a daily basis. And she was like, oh, I actually didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
not a lot of people expect
Yeah.
that. And that's actually
Yeah.
that actually like leads into this next point so well
Mhm.
because as we're like defining the humanities, we're obviously pointing out things that we find valuable within it or how it's brought value to our lives,
Mhm.
And this kind of brings up this discussion of defining or defending the humanities as vocational training versus critical thinking. And so, what I mean by vocational training is, and the Hall Center puts it best as well, is basically marketing the humanities to students as something that can, like, benefit them in their careers, their future jobs. And so, the Hall Center kind of advertises this by saying that employers are increasingly valuing skills like careful analysis, creative thinking, and clear communication, which are core outcomes of studying the humanities. I think we can all agree that those are very valuable things, and we can also agree that, yeah, job markets and employers are definitely looking for people who can, do these things.
Mhm.
But Reedhead critiques this idea, actually. Critiques the idea that education must be vocational. And brings up this really beautiful quote that I'm kind of going to lay out here. I think it says the perspective just great. It's from Roger Scruton, a philosopher and writer. He says that we teach the humanities not because they will produce shrewder entrepreneurs or kinder CEOs, but because they help us to enjoy life more and endure it better. The knowledge they offer is not instrumental, but existential, belonging to the inner life of the person who acquires it. So I think we can agree that that's a completely different kind of shift in perspective than just marketing as the English or history being like, your employer's gonna love how great you can analyze this text and read in between the lines. So I guess what the question that comes from this is, should we be defending the humanities based on utility, meaning like career skills, instrumental values, or should we be defending the humanities through its inherent value, the personal enrichment value?
Mhm.
And I might add another question. Is there harm in thinking one way or the other about it?
Mhm. I want you to spill first.
Oh, what do you mean? Like my
Yeah,
opinion
give me
on
your
this?
thoughts. Give me your thoughts.
Um, I think that, like, oh, I'm such an anti-capitalist. I shouldn't be talking about this.
Woo!
You're gonna hate me. You guys are gonna hate me. No, I think
Girl,
that, like,
I literally did a response paper to the Communist Manifesto. Girl.
Safe place. This is a safe place. I do think that it's inherently harmful to base the value of studies like the humanities, which is literally called the humanities for a reason, and then, you know, basing its value off of what kind of salary it's going to get you, or what kind of employee is going to hire you, or what Indeed listings
Mhm.
there are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it kind of drives me crazy because, like, like, I get it. Like, I totally get it. And especially if you're, like, going into, like, law and everything. I know so many English majors who have, like, gone into law and,
Yes.
their English degrees have just, like, boosted them,
Right.
and great, good for them, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because we are taught those things. We're really good at reading in between the lines. We're really good at cross-analyzing evidence. Like, we do it all the time in our papers.
Right.
But I'm not thinking about my future employer when I'm writing my papers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about those things. I don't think there's been a single time, actually, while I've been sitting in class writing a paper or like hashing out, you know what I mean, hashing out any kind of ideas I have, something that I'm passionate about.
Mm.
There's never been once that I've stopped and been like, you know what, this is gonna look really good on my job resume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
once.
No, for
And
sure.
I think the reason why is because, like, I just love it so much.
Mhm.
It brings me such personal value.
Mhm.
I notice, I mean, like, every time, like, I write a new paper or use a new lens or study, I feel like I carry that with me in a way in which, when I go out into the world, I see those things happening in real time, things I didn't see before until I had a class on it
Right.
or I had an assignment on it.
Yeah.
And so, like, those are things that I carry with me every single day, but you don't see my job resume in my pocket.
Right.
So, I mean, like, that's my take on it. I think there's definitely like there's both,
Mhm.
right? I
Yeah.
think we can agree that there's definitely value on both sides. But I'm I'm a part of my soul dies every time that
Yeah.
an amazing professor has to convince
Right.
a kid who's majoring in business to
Yeah.
double major in English and
Yeah.
has to use vocational
Right.
language
Yeah.
to bring them in. So
Hey, comrade.
yeah, comrade. But what are your guys' thoughts? What are your
Ooh,
guys'
I
thoughts?
can go. I think the reason we have to use vocational training is pretty much because of STEM majors.
Yeah.
People go into because now there's all this rhetoric because college is so expensive and loans that will cripple people for life or several years being like, hey, at least be a STEM major because you'll make that money.
Mm.
Because, like, a lot of people are using the English department being like, this is a wasteful degree because you won't make that money back in 5 years. You won't pay off your loan in 5 years or shorter.
Mhm.
So we have to use that. But that's where I think it is harmful. Much like what he's saying, it's not about the knowledge they offer. It's about like the feeling you get from it.
Mhm.
And I think we do have to use both and show like that the English department is special
Yeah, absolutely.
and like that all humanities are special.
Mhm.
And like the only time I was worried about, oh, I'm failing this class was our linguistics class cuz I thought maybe I had to use this at some point, like
Right.
parsing a phrase. So I was literally crying in
Your
Dr.
future
Clifford's.
employers are going to
Right.
make you parse sentences.
Parse sentences,
guys.
mind
I was
you.
like,
You
I
ready?
See all the different types of verbs.
I was-
I
right
heard
now.
that was on the ass fact.
No.
Actually,
I was literally crying in Dr.
before
Clifford's
joining the military.
office because like I was like, I'm gonna have to use this, but I am a failure. And she is like, no. You will never have to use this ever. This is just a requirement for the degree.
Yeah, I think in agreement to you guys, what I put down is like not a lot of people think that, or I guess like the humanities doesn't obviously, I don't know, give you money in the fastest way possible or in the quickest way possible. It's like really unstable in that sense. And so that's why a lot of people don't really give it a lot of value. And like, okay, not gonna lie. Yeah, I want money.
I mean, like, who doesn't?
Yeah, like I want money, but also I'm not gonna base my whole entire life around how much money I'm gonna get in the future. Like,
And that's why communism is awesome.
Right. End the podcast there. No.
right, and we're done.
And we're cut.
For sure. But it's like I think we can't really see it as like a binary, but a need for both. Like
Yeah.
we need both to survive.
Mhm.
For sure. And I think for me and just my own personal experience, like I've based a lot of my own identity around a lot of the literature and the history that I've researched.
Absolutely.
I think I mentioned this actually in the last podcast, but being in areas where my multitude of identities are not necessarily highlighted or represented, I've really turned to my studies to really understand like who I am and the experiences that I'm going through. Like we mentioned before filming, humans base pretty much our whole lives off of history, the things that we've done. Like, we use history as a foundation for how we're going to move through our daily lives and even how we're going to structure our future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, for me, like, I'm trying to figure out who I am in a society that's constantly trying to suppress a lot of my identities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, sure, maybe it doesn't apply to everybody, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't exist.
Yeah.
Like many other people with varying identities don't exist. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's wild to kind of say that the humanities don't matter when it actually represents all people, even for the
Everyone.
people who don't think that it's important.
Right.
Yeah, and
That's such a good point. Yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's
bro.
just sad that like we're putting all these careers to monetary value.
Mm.
Like being a doctor, a scientist, or anything, and just like you are good enough when you have money. And I like just remember seeing this TikTok being like, "Oh, you believe in a communist who would become doctors?" And it would be like the people who want to.
Real, exactly. Exactly. That's such a good point. Um,
Yeah, and it's just like I would have never found things about myself if not joining this program.
yeah, completely agreed. Completely agreed. And I think that's such a good point too, that it's like the humanities benefit people who don't even know that they're being benefited for, if that
Mhm.
makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's like the humanities accounts for absolutely everyone, in some way, shape, or form. There's something out there,
Yeah.
every single time. And so like definitely the numbers change.
Yeah.
That's clear,
Mhm.
right? We can definitely see some underrepresented groups in certain fields, and that's 100% true.
Yeah.
But all in all, even with the people who discredit or discount the humanities because of a quote unquote lack in vocational value, which I don't think is true, um, they are still people that are being represented by us
Right.
when we study
Yep.
them and when we write about them
Right.
and when we're trying to uncover their histories and pasts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting to see how that relationship unfolds, which kind of leads actually into the humanities and a democratic society.
Hey.
Ah!
Come on, guys.
USA.
Yes.
Woosah,
So-
woosah.
Get the American flag in here.
I know, literally, like someone changed
Need
the
like
background
an
right
eagle
now.
flying across the screen.
But the Hall Center highlights how literacy and critical thinking are extremely vital to a healthy democracy, right? And, obviously we get skills of literacy and critical thinking from the humanities. And by doing this, we're enabling citizens to engage thoughtfully and resist blind authority, right? That's definitely
Yeah.
one of the things that the humanities can provide. Readhead kind of blends this with emotional education, meaning that like us studying characters, not even just characters in literature, but also like real people. When we study real people, like in history or authors, etc., it teaches us empathy. Like dissecting these characters or people or moral dilemmas that they go through, it teaches us empathy, which supports civic understanding. So it all roads lead back to Rome, okay?
Right.
So so I don't know. It's so interesting to me, but I guess what I want to ask you guys is, in an era of so much political polarization, blatant propaganda that we're seeing, and doublespeak, how do the humanities contribute to civic life and empathy? And I'm gonna let you guys run free with that one.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
It makes us question. First of all, it makes us question in an age of misinformation, whether that be AI or people literally telling us that what we saw is fake, from video evidence that, oh, this isn't what you saw actually, and being like, actually, no, I saw that. I can make my
Real.
own decision. I am not a sheep to the slaughter.
Period.
And just like also in a world of like media literacy and stuff like that, we need the humanities because we can see this through many different angles, being like, oh, my I'll use the personal example. So for Black History Month, we had a spreadsheet of Black authors. I added Ursula Le Guin because for one of my older English class at my community college, my English professor said she was a Black author. I found out, like, when it was her turn, she wasn't posted, so I found out why. I Googled Ursula Le Guin, and it was because she was not a Black woman. She was perceived as Black, but she was not Black. She said in many interviews
Oh my
that
goodness.
she was perceived as Black because she would talk about diverse stories and do POC characters,
Right.
but because she wasn't white, she was perceived as black.
That's so,
So
interesting.
I was like, I took my authority, be like, okay, I learned a new thing. My mistake. It's not like it.
right. It's not like
Yeah.
the end of the world. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But that's really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like it does give you these learning moments.
Yeah. For sure.
I wonder too, like, and I'll get to my point, like, with our question,
Yeah.
but
I was like, you're good.
I feel like I'm not gonna call out certain political groups. I think this could really go for anybody, but
Mhm.
there's like a fear in being wrong and
Yes.
then
Goodness,
and then
yeah.
learning from that. Like I think a lot of people don't like they're very rooted in their
Yes.
ideas and like
Mhm.
to know that they're wrong, to know that they're messed up is like I don't know if it's embarrassing or if it's shameful to
It
some
definitely
people.
is. It's
Yeah.
totally, it's totally an ego
Yeah.
and pride
Yeah.
thing, and we all have ego.
No, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. But I also think too, like, for the people I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but like for people who might be in areas where they can educate other people too
Mhm.
though, like I don't think we're necessarily allowing people to learn even then.
That's
Yeah.
a really good
Like
point.
I think it's an extreme of both sides where people feel like maybe they do understand where they were wrong, but they're too scared to admit that. But then
Mhm.
also we're not giving the space for people to be like
to
"Oh,
learn.
yeah, like they messed up. That's okay to mess up.
Right.
We're not perfect." And I
Right.
think by again, like why the humanities is
Right.
important because we're learning how to engage with different people. I mean, that's not the whole reason of the humanities, but it offers you more perspectives. I mean, that you had mentioned before, like
Exactly, yeah.
you're learning more about everybody else's lives.
Yeah.
And I think in America we get caught up in like our own little bubbles, our own little
Mhm.
like sectors, and we forget that like there's no one way to be American. There's no one way to look American. And so I guess when that bubble is like bursted for people, it causes issues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
And I think the humanities opens up that idea of, you know, not just what it means to be American, but, you know, what it means to even look like to be human. And all of like the
Yes.
varying forms of
Mhm.
being human.
the human experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
100% different.
Yeah, and I think
everyone.
too when that goes into civic life and, you know, things that we're voting for, people that we're putting into our government, like we're putting in people who are going to represent everyone.
Yes.
Like and understanding the fact that like there are problems maybe outside of your literal experience right now
Yeah.
that like do matter. And I think some people don't really even think beyond themselves to understand that like okay, maybe like this certain thing isn't happening to me, but it is happening to other people.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't really realize that. Like
Until it happens to them.
right until
Yeah.
it happens to them.
Right.
But in between that time, they're going to act like it's not real.
right.
I never thought the tigers would eat my face.
Yeah.
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 And to Nebraska listeners, midterms are May 15th.
Hey, good
Mhm.
plug, good
Mhm.
plug. Get out to the polls,
Democracy.
educate yourselves,
Mhm.
ask questions, do the thing.
Mhm.
No, that was very, very beautifully said. I think that like especially hitting on that kind of like ego part there when people are afraid to be wrong or admit when they're wrong. This is why the humanities is so freaking cool. Is like I think that like the whole point of when someone goes through this like oh snap I realize I'm wrong, right? Like we call that like cognitive dissonance, right? Like when someone is presented with new information that is going like they can feel it in their heads literally like they see this information and it's going completely against their bias or an opinion that they've held for a really long time or a belief. And this creates a lot of discomfort. And the immediate response is to go back to reading things that reaffirm what is already
Mhm.
believed in their head or an opinion. Right. That's why algorithms suck. Okay. but point being is that like I don't think I've met a single humanities major or minor or anyone in this community who has like shamed someone for being wrong. If anything, I really haven't, at least for me, because
Yeah.
like because the whole point is like we want so badly for people to like view these perspectives, and it's and you know what I mean? It's almost like sliding it across the table. It's like, maybe you should give this a ganda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See if
Yeah,
it
for
changes your
sure.
mind.
Yeah.
And usually what ends up happening is like people end up reading this or whatever it is, and they're like, "Oh wow, I really hadn't thought about that.
Right.
That's a really good point. I really hadn't thought about that." And then
Yeah.
like we're kind of the ones that's like, "Yeah, interesting, right? Yeah, like here
Mhm.
are some other things. Like here's this other shelf. I have a
Right.
whole
Right.
rack.
Right. I have all of these
I have
things
all
for
of
you.
these things for you
Yeah.
now."
Yeah,
So-
and I think that also goes into the point of fear of being wrong. Like in social spaces or like even political spaces, you
Yeah.
are dogpiled if you say the wrong thing.
Hashtag cancel
And like
culture.
I remember
Cancel culture.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was like, I remember being nervous going to this new 4-year university, being like, because I would always be dogpiled all the time for being like, oh, this art isn't correct. Oh, this thing isn't correct. Like, critiques were always a big fear for me because they would never say what's good about what I created. They would always dogpile on, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
So, like, when I came here and being like, oh, people would actually do constructive criticism, or like, I wouldn't be banished for having the quote wrong opinion.
Then you're more
Yeah, I was like-
susceptible to the critique.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like not out of shame.
Mhm.
It's solely out of a like want to get better.
Yes.
Here's this. Try this.
Mhm.
It's fantastic. But which I think that kind of like leads us a little more into like kind of what we've already been talking about. But like the human experience, the
Let
world
me get my
view.
quote.
Yep,
Yes.
emotional intelligence. Yeah, Readhead kind of talks a lot about how the humanities help us experience human nature, society, and moral implications. And you know, this emphasizes that teaching can't be reduced to data or technical training, you know, or again like that vocational value of education. But this kind of underscores the humanities' role in deepening emotional intelligence and broadening these perspectives rather than closing them off to certainty, right? And so I just think that this is like such an amazing thing that the humanities brings that we just really don't see often with other disciplines. And so what does like emotional education mean or emotional intelligence mean to you guys? And can the humanities foster it more effectively than other disciplines? What's the outcome of this? Like,
Okay, I'm gonna open with my quote and then I'll
Go
give it
for
to
it.
Kalani, because I need a few minutes to think.
take your time.
They'll tell you that the arts and humanities aren't practical, and then read poetry at funerals and weddings, cry over films, and search for meanings in ancient philosophy. Surviving is one type of practicality. Knowing why we bother is another.
That's beautiful. That's really well said. That definitely encapsulates us.
Yes.
100%. I
Yeah.
mean, like I had mentioned before, I've dove into so many readings and all of my research that I've done because it represents who I am
Yeah.
and the experiences that I've gone through. And I think it just gives us, I mean, again, I'm tying everything back to the points that I've made before, but
All
it's
roads lead back to Rome.
like, we're understanding how to be humans with other humans. Like, I don't know. I think it's crazy to discount any, oppressive experiences that people go through. I mean, especially in America.
Yeah.
Like, there are just so many identities that we've kind of put on the back burner since the creation of America.
Yeah. That's why they call it like big man history.
Yeah. And well,
Well, let's ask
well,
the audience.
yeah, let's ask the audience. Like, and so I don't know. I think of this as specifically now with a lot of political unrest that's happening. I think a lot of people are questioning like why any of this is really happening. And I don't know. Maybe look back in our history out of the amount of years and years that we have forgotten about all these different groups.
Like,
and
yeah.
it's patterns that are repeated over time. Like things that we've seen
Right.
in like I don't know, like 19th century we're seeing even now.
Yeah.
The ways like our structures are oppressing people, we're seeing that now. And
Yes.
so
Same responses.
yeah, same responses.
Yeah.
Everything. It's like copy paste just with I don't know, different
Right.
lingo.
Yeah.
Different person.
Yeah,
Different person,
with
yeah.
a different person. And so it's again like just being able to understand like just being able to understand the people that are around you. Like it's more than just yourself, and even, you know, like I talk about my identity and whatnot, but it's not just my identity, but everybody else's identities too.
Yeah.
Like like so many people I think are a little bit more self-centered in that way of like if it doesn't affect me then it's not a problem at all.
Mm.
That was like
What are we even talking about?
Yeah, what like how did we get here?
Yeah. Like if everybody else's issues don't bother you, what's going on? Like
Right.
our struggles are aligned in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
So why wouldn't you care?
exactly.
And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we're all human.
No, literally.
We're
like
all human.
it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Like Mr. Rogers. I mean, like it's a
Yes.
beautiful day in the
let's
neighborhood.
go.
yeah.
Who's the neighborhood?
Who's the neighborhood,
Who's
mind
the
you?
Who
neighbor?
is your community?
Yeah, absolutely. Like these are all things that the humanities sheds light on. Like
Mhm.
or it just completely opens this like box that I think society does a very good job at keeping under the bed.
Yeah.
And the humanities really asks us to kind of like pull this out and
Yeah.
really start digging
yeah.
and asking these questions and bringing those things to light. Like
Mhm.
no longer keeping it in a box,
Yeah.
showing everyone how important
Right.
these people are, this person is, this event is,
Mhm.
things like this. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. All roads lead to the great chain of being.
Yes.
It's just like this is what it just like shows why special oppressed people are there. Because like, oh, why is everyone attacking transgender and non-binary people? Because they don't fit into the line of chains. God on top, women practically at the bottom, but you change your gender or aren't this system, and then you throw off the balance and people don't know what to do. They don't know
Yeah.
where to put you.
That's why, they're people out of place.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Right.
like literally recognized as like
Right.
Yeah.
out of place.
Yeah.
And hey, you wouldn't actually if you would know that if you studied the humanities, by the way. Like you would recognize
Shout out
that.
to our class.
Like yeah, you should come to our class. Yeah.
Shout out to Dr. Clifford's Bloody Bodies, my Roman Empire.
I guess like this is we can talk a little more about like the challenges facing the humanities today. And Reedhead kind of talks about how there are a lot of like, you know, current policy trends like in academia. Like we're literally seeing this like in academia. We're not just talking about like government level stuff,
Mhm.
like just stuff that's happening on campus. Where current policy trends are prioritizing STEM subjects, sometimes at the expense of
Mhm.
humanities funding and support.
Mhm.
And this kind of phenomenon kind of sets up a conversation on the perceptions of value,
Mhm.
clearly, you know, because now, you know, one's
Mhm.
being more valued than the other. So are the humanities seen as less essential because they don't always translate into these clear economic outcomes? You know, I guess is the question on the table, right? Like, is
Right.
that why we're valuing it less? Because
Yeah.
people don't think it's like a pipeline
Yeah.
into a cute, squeaky career, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, why might policymakers, like, all the way from we're talking like government to even down here at our level,
Mhm.
like in academia, in universities, in, you know, academic institutions, why might these policymakers and society undervalue the humanities, and how can we counter that?
That's a good question.
Guess
Really
what? Most of your policymakers have a humanities degree.
Yeah.
Guess what? Yes.
Mhm.
And
So.
it's just like I've seen some things being like, oh, they don't think we work as hard as STEM majors because we're not, like, we don't usually complain about our stuff. Like, oh, they had to memorize formulas all night.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, guess what? Being a humanities major is hard. We talk about our linguistics class all the time,
Yeah.
how hard it was. And it's just like, also, it's because it's women led.
That's honestly true.
It's because I won't be surprised if it's also added to the list of, quote, unprofessional degrees.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think like one piece of it is not wanting people to question
Mhm.
or think for themselves.
Absolutely.
Which is like kind of funny because it's school.
Yeah.
and you're here to learn.
Absolutely.
But I think the humanities gives you the foundation of like thinking for yourself.
Mhm.
I had said this in the last podcast that like knowledge is freedom, and I think currently a lot of people want to take that away.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it is also a combination of like what's gonna get you the most money, but also like maybe too it's schools trying to defend themselves, like in a way like we want to produce students that are going to give our university meaning.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like universities, colleges, any
Yeah.
sort of academic institution. I mean, one of the first things that you're going to see on their homepage when you look up,
Right.
again, any
Their
of these places,
achievements.
their achievements.
Right.
How many percentages, like what percent of students went straight into a career after high
Right.
school?
Mhm.
That number
Yes.
is blasted.
Yeah.
Because that is what makes a university or college like marketable.
Right.
That's what makes them profitable, is ensuring that there's this student turnout
Mhm.
that like, oh, look how many students got these great jobs after they studied with us.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, so that's 100% like
Yeah.
a university standpoint thing too.
And I think it reflects to like just our current political systems of like I don't know, like maybe they too believe that the humanities aren't important because they don't want people to question because guess who's running everybody? Like they don't want to be in conflict
Yeah.
with the people who are running everything. And so I could imagine that they don't want to face any issues from the government and whatnot and stuff like that. But yeah, it's so weird. Like, why
is
would
so
we do that?
strange.
Like, it's an institution in order for people to learn. Like,
Right.
why would you want to take away people's ability to learn?
Exactly. Well, like
Yeah.
I think well, yeah, and it goes back to like are we prioritizing
Right.
the profit or salary number that
Mhm.
you're going to hold after obtaining this degree,
Mhm.
or are we prioritizing the learning that's going into getting that degree?
Right.
Yeah, the art of debate has been completely lost.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good point. Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good
You're
point.
supposed to be able to see both sides, and the humanities helps with that.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just a podcaster yelling at you that you're
Not us, though.
Not us. Not us.
I'm
Not us.
I am not a man with a podcast. Anyway, it's just a podcaster yelling at college kids on how he's right and they're wrong without any evidence to support it, not even seeing their sides when they give very valid points. It's just them being who can shout the loudest.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think humanities asks us who can talk the longest.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah.
Which is just such a fascinating point. But I guess like before we wrap up this episode, because I think this is a pretty good spot to simmer down. I guess what do you want to say to students to counter the narrative that, you know, people who study the humanities are going to be living out of a shoebox? Like, or even better yet, this is what I would like to end with. Let's say there is someone who is watching this who is very much considering being, studying in the humanities, whether they want to be an English major, history, art, music, any of the sorts.
Mhm.
But they're hesitant because they're worried about finding a job, or they have people whispering in their ears that they're going to be a starved artist, things like this.
Mhm.
What would you tell them as,
Mhm.
literally studying this right now,
Mhm.
what would you say to them?
I mean, like, what do you engage with every day? Like, I listen to music every single day. I look at art every single day. I read every single day. Like, even regardless of if I were in the humanities, these are things that I engage with in my daily life that have actually shaped me a lot
Mm-hmm.
for who I am. And also, like, think about why you're even interested in this. Like,
Yeah.
what's drawing you to this, and why are people trying to take you away? I think that even then, like, if you're interested in something, regardless of what major it is, like, you should go ahead and learn and do it.
100%.
Like, I'm gonna say we're only here for such a limited amount of time. Life is so finite. I know, cliche,
No,
whatever.
no,
but
it's not.
yeah, like, you shouldn't limit yourself to one thing. And if that is STEM, if that's what you want to do, then that's fantastic because those people are needed very much so.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like, this isn't like like attacking STEM or whatever, but if you're interested in the humanities, then do it.
Absolutely.
Like, we've just listed a whole bunch of reasons and where you see it in your daily life, and so if this is of your interest, then go ahead and do it.
yeah,
because
take
I
this
think
as a sign.
in a time where people are trying to sway you one way to make sure that you're not thinking for yourself, when they're trying to limit the amount of choices that you can make, go and make your choice
100%.
right now.
Yeah.
And don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Brooke, anything?
Do the thing. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what other people think of your career. It doesn't matter. Because guess what? Talk to any of our humanities professors, advisors, anyone, and they'll tell you it is not stagnant. This career can take you so many ways,
I can.
so many different paths. And if, like, say you are in a compromised position, parents paying for college, they say you can only do this. Do it as a minor. We have so many STEM majors that have English, art, theater, several things as minors.
Yeah. Very true.
And that is going to take them places too.
Absolutely.
Very much so.
Yeah. I guess I'll just close this off by saying that studying that studying the humanities never limits your possibilities. It only opens them
Mhm.
every time.
100%.
Every single time.
Mhm.
So that's a beautiful send off. Well, thank you everyone so much for watching,
Yes.
and thank you to my lovely co-hosts for speaking.
Thank
You
you.
guys are amazing. I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember to clap if you care.
Yes. Clap if you care.
Woo!
Yeah.
Good.
That was good, you guys.
Yeah.